The Knicks ruin Mickey Mouse night at the Staples Center. Let's talk. Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. You are listening to BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, MMA on occasion. Let's get to it.
Anthony for three. That one goes down, and the game is tied.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
The Yankees are champions of baseball.
Shaking and baking right here on the neophyte.
U.S. trying to close the show.
She was doing a great job of feeding.
That is it.
It's over.
Don't you regret not coming to the Knicks? Don't you regret not coming to the Knicks?
Game over. World Series over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
All right. Welcome to the show. Welcome to episode 595 of the podcast. You are listening to or maybe watching BD4. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. Thanks for tuning in to BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA, Yanks every series, Knicks every game, MMA on occasion. And of course, we're talking New York Knicks in this one. My gosh, that was a fun win, man. As I said at the very top, the Knicks ruined banner night. They ruined Mickey Mouse night at Staples Center or whatever they call it. I call it the website. The Lakers now play at the website. You know, http://www.crypto.com/whatever arena. God, these fucking sponsors ruin so much shit. The Knicks spoil the Lakers NBA Cup celebration night. You know what? I made fun of them for hanging the banner, but I didn't realize until Breen was talking about it on the telecast last night, and then they showed it. It makes it like a little better that the Lakers. It's a different type of banner. It's not like the rest of the banners up there, so there is a distinct difference in the way it looks. So that, that's like, okay, you can live with that. And maybe as this thing gets more history, these will become less Mickey Mouse and more authentic. But they ruined that. There was no Cam Reddish revenge game. That was nice to see. So the Knicks picked up the win. This was a game that, heading into the game, actually, I think both LeBron and AD were questionable. They both ended up playing. As for the Knicks, the only injury they had in this game was Jericho Sims, who sprained his ankle on jump ball. He ended up playing a few minutes, picked up a couple fouls, didn't look right, did not return. Isaiah Hartenstein took most of those minutes. Taj played 5 minutes there. Not great. But the Knicks win 114-109 at Staples Center. Right off the bat in this game, you could tell the Knicks were trying to adjust. They had issues in the paint early. Defensive rebounds became an issue at the time. They had trouble keeping AD off the glass. They were missing bunnies, short mid-range. Anthony Davis was blocking shots. But then Randle and quickly get red hot late in the first quarter, and the Knicks go up 35-27. Second quarter comes. Quickly and Hart are working great together with the bench. Randle's still going. Brunson gets hot late in the period. The Knicks have a very rough finish to the half when Randle sat. A lot of turnovers, 3-pointers given up to Prince. Taurean Prince just knocking down threes against the Knicks. Put that right next to taxes and death. And it's 58-57 Lakers at the half. Back and forth early on in the third quarter until the Knicks get red hot and go on this 15-2 run late in the period. You got Brunson facilitating. He's scoring. He's distributing in transition. You have the quickly iHeart. They run the play together that they always run. Grimes knocks down a three, and the Knicks are up 90-80 after 3 quarters. And then you had a pretty crazy fourth quarter. The Knicks have some big moments early. iHeart's all over the glass. Brunson's hot. The Knicks go up 10 points about midway through the fourth, I'd say. And then it gets a little interesting. You saw the Knicks get a little content offensively, doing less. LeBron activates his takeover badge on the other end. And that's when just a whole bunch of crazy sequences took place. You know, you had big baskets by Brunson and Randle late in the game. Brunson was forcing some misses late as well. But you had, in my opinion, like the big turning point late was the massive Isaiah Hartenstein rebound. He gets that rebound. It lands in Quickly's hands. He throws the outlet to Randle in transition. That puts the Knicks up 7 points with less than a minute left. That to me was like the game changer. But then you had RJ with just a ridiculous poor foul that you can't commit on an Austin Reeves 3-pointer. He goes to the line. And the Knicks later on in the period with like 30 seconds maybe, they let Anthony Davis knock down a 3 to make it a 3-point game. So it got a little tricky. No, not tricky. It got a little too close for comfort. But you know, Josh Hart gets fouled there in transition. They call it a clear path foul, and so that was kind of the icing on the cake for the Knicks. And again, they would pull away and win 114-109 at Staples Center or Crypto.com Arena. The Knicks win. The Knicks in this game shot 48% to the Lakers 42%, 33% from 3 to the Lakers 32%, 87% at the line to the Lakers 92%. They had 52 rebounds, to Los Angeles' 41 rebounds, 21 assists to 29 assists for the Lakers, 15 turnovers to 10. And the Knicks' leading scorer, Jalen Brunson, with 29 points. Anthony Davis was the leading scorer for the Lakers with 32 points. But by the way, LeBron James, I used to be the biggest LeBron James hater, and I'm still not the biggest fan of him as his personality. Like, I don't agree with a lot of the things he says as a person. Not the biggest fan of him as a person. I wish him the best, obviously. But he seems like he's like just never going to slow down. Like, the dude is, you can't not respect how amazing he is at the one thing he is good at. That was a little shade there. No, but LeBron is unbelievable at basketball. The dude averages 27, 7, and 7 seemingly every year. And he's going to turn 40 years old. I'm sorry, he's going to turn, what is he? Is he going to turn 34? Is he 30? I think he's 38. Or he's about to turn 38, 39. Does it really matter? He's getting older. In 2 weeks is his birthday. And he's still dropping numbers like 25, 11, 11. And last night wasn't even his best game. It's insane how incredible he is. He's just, the guy takes such good care of his body. And I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if he continues to play at this level for 5 more years. Father Time might be defeated after his career's over. So I just wanted to give him some respect there. At the same time, a slight dig, but no, I wanted to give him the respect he deserves because LeBron James is an unbelievable basketball player, and you know, there's a reason that there's a debate for the greatest of all time, whether or not you agree or not. He's top 2. That's got to be for sure. The Knicks, though. Let's talk about the Knicks. Let's not kiss LeBron's ass. He gets it kissed enough. And the Knicks with a big win last night. I want to talk about some things that are encouraging. So we'll get to some of these takeaways in just a few moments. But first, we're going to get to our first plug of the night. And then once we get back, we'll get right back into the game. Stay with us here on episode 595 of BD4. I'm your host, RJ. Be right back.
We appreciate you sticking around and listening so far. When you have a chance, be sure to open YouTube to subscribe, like, and comment. And if you're already watching on YouTube, be sure to head over to Apple Podcasts and give us a 5-star review. We appreciate your feedback and are always looking to improve. Now, with that all said, let's get you back to the show.
Welcome back to BD4. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. Now, if I do look up, this is if you're watching the video edit of the podcast. If I look up every here and there, it's because I'm watching this Celtics-Warriors game. And I have a little something placed on it. So checking the box score and watching at the same time. So I apologize if you're watching the video edit. Let's talk about this offense. That's what I kind of want to touch on first. This Knick offense, man. Listen, 114 points against a good defense last night. Okay, the Lakers are a top 5 defense, and the Knicks did a great job against them. 114 points. On the year, they are now up to a top 10 offense. They got off to a very slow start. Remember, the first 15 games, they had the 13th rated offense. Since then, in their last 11 games, up to now, the last 11 games, they have an offensive rating of 4. Oh, I'm sorry. That ranks 4th. So that's got them at 10th on the season. And you knew that would come around eventually. It's not the same high-scoring offense that it was last year, but it's enough. It's enough for the Knicks to still be winning games adequately, even with this defensive drop-off. But the Knicks did an excellent job against a top defense. I thought they exploited the Lakers' coverages very well, especially late in the game. Anytime the Lakers doubled or blitzed pick and roll, Brunson would take care of it. He'd reject the screen, get into the lanes. When they stopped bringing help in the fourth quarter, Brunson rejected screens. Let me rephrase that. When they stopped bringing help in the fourth quarter, what Brunson would do is he would call over the screen for the switch, right? You saw the Knicks do a very nice job late screening for switches. You saw it with Austin Reeves throughout the night. The Knicks put him into the action with guard screens. You saw it with Cam Reddish late in the game. Brunson rejecting Randle screens, rejecting RJ Barrett screens in the fourth quarter to attack Cam Reddish. A lot of misdirection steps to sway the defender into the screen and then going the other way. Did a great job there. So I thought the Knicks took care of LA's coverages. And this offense, in my opinion, is obviously it's thriving because Brunson's dropping baskets left and right. And Randall's dropping buckets left and right. But I think it's important to note that while Isaiah Hartenstein isn't a scorer, he brings a completely new dynamic to the offense when he's out there playing with the starting unit. He brings spacing and ball movement, and this is something we've touched a lot on the show. iHeart just brings completely different aspects than Mitchell Robinson, like cutting from the short corner, high post playmaking, high screens that he turns into DHO, pin downs, rescreening, though Mitch is pretty great there. But he's able to space the floor despite not being much of a shooter. And he's able to do that because of his passing and his screening, right? As a passer, he's got great vision in short roll. And he's able to put the ball on the floor and attack out of it too if he has to. As a screener, you're going to see him set high screens and the defense doesn't come up on him because he's not a great shooter, so he can turn that into DHO for an open look for one of his guards, as you saw with Quickly in the right corner last night. So that's what you get with iHeart out there. Whereas with Mitchell Robinson, it's, if he's not up top screening, he's in the dunker spot. And he's eating on the offensive glass in the dunker spot. He's throwing down a putback or a lob off the pick and roll, right? So that's where the difference comes there. The spacing is completely different because Ihart's just not camping near the restricted area. Now, the caveat is obviously Ihart's not the same rim protector, right? He can't move like Mitchell Robinson can and chase around an offense. And although he's good on the offensive glass, Mitch is the best offensive rebounding big in basketball. You also have to consider the minutes difference. Like, is what Isaiah Hartenstein does sustainable if he were to play bigger minutes? Like, can he do the same things that he's doing right now across 30 minutes on a night-to-night basis versus playing backup big for 18 to 20 minutes? The evidence there, I feel like, says so far not so much. But it's worth seeing how this plays out at the moment, right? And considering that Ihart does bring you offense in an offense-heavy league, it's something to consider even when Mitchell Robinson returns. Should Ihart be your starting big? Because first of all, Mitchell Robinson's health has always been a weakness, and who is to say that Mitch will be ready and effective post-surgery anyway? It's probably going to take a while for him to get back into game shape. It's going to be at least 10 weeks before he's reevaluated, and then he's going to have to work his way back into game shape. So it's a question that has been brought up before from Knicks fans, and you see it on social media sometimes. Of course, prisoners of the moment when Ihart has a good game and Mitch has a bad game, you'll see that come up. But he has done some things that make you question that. He's developed a really good chemistry with a lot of the starters, with a lot of the Knicks who get the bigger minutes. Him and Dante DiVincenzo, we've discussed plenty of times already on the show that they work great together. Dante's often cutting. He's off the ball moving. Isaiah Hartenstein's often finding cutters and guys who move at the top. He works very well with Julius Randle. I was on Twitter earlier today, and Knicks Film School put out an excellent stat saying it kind of backs up the eye test, how Randle with Isaiah Hartenstein is much more efficient than he is when he plays with Mitchell Robinson. He's 7% better in terms of effective field goal percentage with Ihart. He's 10% more at the rim. And he's 15% better when it comes to his field goal percentage at the basket. So, of course, there's a smaller sample size there, and you also have to account for Randle's slow start. But, again, just watching, you feel like you can see the difference. You feel like you can see that Ihart's spacing allows Randle to attack more freely down there and more frequently. And that's the biggest thing for me. Because, especially with the way Randle has changed his attack this season. He's not shooting step-back threes 10 times a game like he was doing last year, right? He's attempting less threes this year, and his volume is up at the basket. So with Mitch already down there, that's more bodies that Randle has to get through when he's playing bully ball off the block. I feel like Ihart brings that spacing so Mitch would have more room to operate. He also plays very well with Quickly, right? We just mentioned they run that corner play a lot where Ihart hands it off, sets the pin down, Quickly shoots the corner three. A lot of the times they run that in ATO offense as a slob action or from the baseline. But last night, I believe they ran that either after a basket or in semi-transition. But it's a play you see them often run together. They'll run pick and roll often in the half court too. Speaking of, when Ihart is paired with Brunson, you rarely see Brunson use the pick and roll with Mitch. You don't see that often. Not where Brunson hits Mitch on the roll. He's going to kick out to shooters usually, or he's going to take the shot himself, come off the screen and pull up. But you don't see Brunson use Mitchell Robinson in pick and roll, and that's for a couple of reasons. Brunson doesn't have the height to see over the defense like that or to throw it up comfortably. And also, Mitch doesn't have the greatest hands to score off the roll unless it's just by a lob. So with iHeart out there with Brunson, you often see iHeart in high pick and roll or being used in short roll. And that's because, unlike Mitchell Robinson, iHeart, he's able to handle those pocket passes well. So I would like to see iHeart in there tomorrow. I think that'd be the best idea. And I would like to see more of that Brunson, Quickly, RJ, Randle, iHeart combo. I think that'd be a great combo to play more. It benefits the Knicks offensively, and the defense is better too than when it's Sims and Dante out there with the starting five. You know, the Knicks are actually able to run offense through Isaiah Hartenstein, unlike when Mitch is out there and Jericho's out there. You saw in the third quarter last night, they were doing exactly that, right? You actually saw Dante find a cutting iHeart early in the third quarter from the baseline. You had iHeart find a cutting Randle from out of the short roll between he and Brunson initially. Again, you also had the corner play with him and Quickly late in the period. So it's going to be very important for me that Thibodeau sees this too. Like, he's a guy who always talks about the game's going to tell you what to do. Right now, I think it's telling him iHeart's the guy you need to roll with. You know, and I know that Jericho Sims has been upgraded to questionable tomorrow, right? That was kind of in doubt for a second there. I just, one second here. I don't want this to crash on me. I don't know why my CPU usage on this is like all the way up, which is not good. I don't want this to start lagging like crazy on me. Hopefully we can last and don't have to freaking reset this thing. Where was I? I know that Jericho Sims has upgraded to questionable, but I just feel like Isaiah Hartenstein has to be in the starting lineup versus the Nets tomorrow. It just, like, it's not just going to help the Knicks offensively, but the defense, you can live with the mistakes. Like, the Knicks, let's just be blunt here, they get bullied at the point of attack now that the starting lineup is different. And, you know, it's the combination of Dante in for Grimes and Sims with the starting unit over Mitchell Robinson with him being out. Because Jericho Sims' best skill is his switchability on pick and roll. But obviously, in Tom Thibodeau's system, the Knicks don't switch their fives. The bigs stay home, often in a drop, and they'll occasionally switch 1 to 4. The bigs don't. It makes sense for Jericho to play with the second unit so he's involved in less pick and roll and doesn't have to handle that. I wouldn't even mind seeing Taj get those 8 to 10 minutes and iHeart the remaining 38. I don't know. I know Tibbs loves his roles, right? He loves guys being comfortable, knowing where they are every night. I understand that part of it. It's why, you know, Quickly's often riding with the bench. More on that in a second. But having your third string big, you know, the 50-something pick of the draft, all of a sudden go from not playing any games, 0 minutes per game, to your starting center, it's detrimental. And especially in the schedule we're in the midst of right now. The Knicks have arguably the best backup center in basketball in iHeart. Use that advantage. You know, I know that, again, the more iHeart plays, he might not be as effective, but risk it, because it's still better than getting demolished in Jericho's minutes like the Knicks have so often been demolished in to this point. It makes it easier if you have iHeart at the 5 to survive the defensive decline from Grimes to Dante in that starting 5. especially if Tibbs keeps showing, if he keeps showing adjustments on defense too. Because, how about last night? Going back to the basics in pick and roll. Tom Thibodeau went back to the norm with his pick and roll covers last night. The Knicks primarily in a straight drop. The Lakers are a poor three-point shooting team. They're 24th in three-point percentage. They're 28th in three-point attempts. They're also 24th in pull-up percentage. So those are all things that you can afford to play drop on and get away with. Did Austin Reeves hurt them a little bit early on in drop coverage? Sure, a couple pull-up jumpers, maybe a floater in there. But overall, it worked. Because without Mitch in the back line and without Grimes at the point of attack, you just don't have the same insurance to bring iHeart up at the level in pick and roll. You don't exactly want to have to ask RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson to have to be the ones rotating and bringing help in the secondary. So I thought it was very smart to go into a drop last night with iHeart at the basket versus a paint-heavy team, right? The Lakers rank second in the NBA in points per game in the paint. And you're going to have nights where Tibbs is going to have to adjust again and maybe play a little more aggressive on pick and roll, blitz, trap. But considering the personnel that you have right now, considering the opponent you just played, that was a smart move. So I think it just makes perfect sense to play iHeart with the starters. I do worry about the minutes when iHeart's off the floor, because he will still have to sit at certain points. You're not going to play him 48 minutes. It's a big concern because, Taj Gibson is 38 years old. He was just on the couch watching TV. And Jericho Sims, again, he's just not ready. So that concerns me. I don't know how that's going to work. Those are valuable minutes, even if it's only going to be 8 to 10 minutes. If Tibbs wasn't so hell-bent on size and defense, in a fantasy world, we might see him double down on offense with a Randle at 5 in a 5-out, right? But that's not happening. That's not Tom Thibodeau. He's never really shown you that he's willing to do that. And yeah, just look, like we're so worried about playing Randle in a drop, and because we don't switch our 5s anyway, we signed Taj Gibson. Like, that's how we're not doing that. And I understand it. Like, the Knicks are very small as it is. They don't have a lot of size. But I wish, like, when we're playing teams that aren't very big, that we'd see more of that dynamic with Hart and Randle playing 4-5, So that's it as far as that goes. I have some more things to discuss regarding Tom Thibodeau when we get back from break. We're going to talk about the guard rotation next. Stay with us here on BD4. We'll be right back.
You can also find us on social media. If you'd like, you can follow BD4 on Facebook, and we're at BD4Pod on both Instagram and Twitter. We appreciate you helping us grow more and more every day. Let's get back to it.
Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. Some thought that Dante DiVincenzo got the short end of the stick last night. Dante finished the game with 8 points, 3 assists, 3 for 5 shooting, 2 for 4 on his threes. And that was in just 19 minutes, now where he sat the entire fourth quarter. But again, it's very difficult with the logjam of guards that we've got right now, with the size issues on this roster, that we have a fair rotation. Like, somebody's going to get the short end every night. RJ was bad last night, and he still closed in the fourth quarter. I understand those frustrations. People hated that. I do think Josh Hart probably sees those minutes had he not gotten hurt. He was banged up. And why didn't Dante get them? Again, the Lakers are a big team. Tibbs has shown us this year a number of times that he clearly doesn't trust Dante or Grimes to play up at wing at 3. And that kind of bleeds into the whole Quickly thing, right? Quickly played well last night, and he got extended minutes, 20 points, 29 minutes. That's fine. And I do agree that Quickly should play more. But there are a lot of mouths to feed, and the Knicks, they do statistically play better when Quickly and Hart share the floor. So when you're thinking about the closing lineup, Brunson's going to be a staple at point guard to close it. Randle stapled in at power forward, and then you're going to have your big Hart stapled in at center. Those three guys, right? Those are your three automatics to close. You need your 2 stars, and you need your big. Also, unless he's absolutely terrible, Josh Hart's probably getting one of those 2 spots because of size, because he's one of the few Knick guards who's capable of defending up at the wing against bigger wings. So that's going to leave us with RJ, Dante, Quickly, and Grimes. Those 4 guys to slot in at one spot every night. So it's roster construction than it is anything else. And again, it's hard to believe the front office is going to sit there knowing that and do nothing about it. You have to think that some trade is going to come up to just free up spots. But I think, I'm in agreement with a lot of people when they say, just start Quickly, just say fuck it. That's one way to fix the minutes problem. You start him. I think you get more minutes from him this way, and you get a more efficient team. Again, Brunson, Quickly, RJ, Randle, Hart. That's the lineup I would love to see start. Otherwise, you go back to what you had just a few games ago. You got Dante and RJ, who are the only 2 defensive players of that starting 5. And they're okay defensively, But now you'd have Quickly over Dante. Better defense, more minutes. You got a second ball handler next to Brunson. Hart over Sims, again, a better pick and roll defender. All the playmaking stuff. He's better on the glass, the box outs, which Sims struggles boxing out defensively. And you have Dante run as a ball handler with the bench unit. He's capable when Quickly or RJ aren't out there, which that won't be too often, to do so. So I would like to see Quickly start. It's just, we know Tibbs likes rolls. We know that you want to balance between both units. That's another reason for it. The size concerns for the millionth time. How's that going to fare against Boston, against Milwaukee? There's the question of will he get the same looks next to Brunson and Randle? Not necessarily reps. I'm not talking about the quantity of reps, but more the quality. Will a defense continue to drop under him on screens like we so often see with the second unit? So I think Tibbs knows that it works. I don't think he's an idiot. He sees the metrics. He's on the sideline watching the games like us. But he also knows that things can change. Metrics can change. As the sample size gets larger, as the schedule deepens, that all can change. So I'm not going to sit here and yell fire Tibbs after every time the Knicks lose and Quickly he doesn't play 30 minutes. But last night he played 29. I think that's a good middle ground from the fans and Tibbs to find. That's a spot we'd like to see him at more. He also, last night, there was, noise around Randle playing as much and as long as he did. Tibbs ran Randle for the first about 20 minutes of this game. Despite him hurting his ankle early on, he played the first 20 minutes just about. And then he played the entire second half. Didn't sit once. And I think that was for a few reasons. I think the Knicks clearly needed Randle out there in the first half. I mean, he was the engine of the offense. The second he sits, that 11-point lead vanishes. The Knicks had an 11-point lead with Randle on the floor late second quarter. He sits down the final few minutes. All of a sudden, the Knicks are heading into halftime down 1 point. Secondly, it was clearly Tom Thibodeau trying to match Julius's minutes with LeBron's minutes. You're going to see him do that. You've already seen him do that when the Knicks play against incredibly strong power forwards, right? You saw it against Milwaukee when they matched him with Giannis. That's the plan. So I've got no qualms there. I mean, listen, we all want Tibbs to adjust more and not be so rigid with the rotation. Well, he did last night, and people are still finding ways to cry about it. Speaking of people crying, while we're just here on the topic of kissing Tibbs' ass, let's just end it with one thing here. Everybody's favorite role player, the reason Tibbs should be fired apparently, Cam Reddish, he scored 4 points last night. Let me just take a sip after saying that. Oh, man. That was disgusting. Slurping into the mic. Yeah, man. I'm so tired every year of, the Knicks making superstars out of these role players. Obi Toppin this year. Listen, 12 points per game, 3 rebounds per game, 24 minutes. A nice, solid job in an expanded role to a degree. Doesn't sound like a superstar who was held back by his head coach. Cam Reddish, 4 points last night. On the season, he's averaging 7 points per game, 1 assist per game, 40% from the field across 24 minutes. Same thing. He's contributing over there in LA. It's nice to see. I'm happy. I was always a huge Cam fan. Doesn't exactly sound like a star who was held back to me. So it's just we got to relax for a second and realize what we have here. All of those young players that Tibbs supposedly ruins, well, Quickly was a 6-man runner-up last year, and his numbers are arguably better this year. Randle goes from a role player on the Lakers to an all-NBA player with the Knicks. Brunson goes from this 15 points per game sidekick to Luka Doncic that nobody knows about to dropping 50 points on the Suns, and he's getting compliments from a top player of all time calling him a future Hall of Famer. Our starting center was just in the conversation before the injury of, defensive player of the year. Our backup center is arguably the best backup center in all of basketball. He's having career seasons under Tom Thibodeau. Let's just stop with the narratives. The Knicks are 15-11. They are expected to be 15-11, give or take, with this roster. So the next time you want to bitch, you want to moan, maybe take a look at the roster and think to yourselves, ask yourself the question, how much better would the Knicks be under, who do we want? We want Johnny Bryant? That's the whole thing. Everyone's talking about Johnny Bryant. How much better would they be under somebody else? Sometimes there's just a ceiling where you have to work with what you have. And while Tibbs is not perfect, and my gosh, he's far from it, he's not getting fired on December 19th because the Knicks are 15-11 holding the top 5 seed. Moving on, RJ Barrett was bad last night. Again, he was bad. There's no spinning it. 12 points, 3 for 10 shooting, 0 for 2 in the first. From 3, 0 for 2 from 3. He was bad in the first half, better in the second, but he's just not been consistent. His entire season has gone down. Right, that the pre-migraine RJ shit's got to end. We got to stop bringing up those 7 games. He is who he is, right? RJ is an inefficient volume scorer. That's it. He's a decent player. Now, it's more survivable this year because he's knocking down free throws and he's playing good defense, although tough defensive game last night for RJ and LeBron, and, of course, the foul on Reeves late. But, yeah, the efficiency is not great. And it's, as we say, it's the decision-making, right? Poor selection off of his drives. Poor decisions against the shot clock. How many times did he force a floater in the first half with AD right down there waiting to block him? And he did twice in the first quarter. versus kicking it out. How many times did we see that last night? How many times were we surprised? 0. How many times does RJ continue to take off the dribble three-pointers above the break and miss? How many times are we surprised when we see him do that? 0. It's just something we have to live with until hopefully he's moved in a package deal for a star player down the line. Or maybe soon. I know Cleveland's kind of in the shitter at the moment. That situation is interesting. Although the more I see this defense play sans last night, I don't know if Mitchell's going to work next to Brunson. But on a positive, we will wrap this up with some good things. Let's go to Julius Randle and hand him the game ball.
Bing bang.
Julius last night, 27 points, 14 rebounds, 3 assists, shot 55% from the field, 100% at the line, 2 out of 2. He was a plus 17 across 43 minutes. Yeah, man. You saw it when he was off the floor for the very little time he was. You saw the difference. He's killing it right now. He's killing it in the paint. He's attacking. He's getting downhill. Nobody on the Lakers could contain him on the post. LeBron, AD, Cam, it did not matter. He was making quick passes out of the double team. Just completely physical, super aggressive on the glass. Continues to play excellent ball. And he now has 7 game balls on the year. 2 below Brunson, who leads the Knicks starting 5. So there's not much else to say about Julius Randle other than he's been absolutely excellent for this team. And got to give the guy credit when it's due. Go to the bench, and I mean, we've said everything we've needed to say about this guy, but Isaiah Hartenstein gets the game ball from off the bench. 9 points, 17 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, plus 15 on the night. We said it all. We just spoke about him for a good 10 minutes, praising him. Excellent defense, excellent on the glass. He brings great value offensively. And he now has 7 game balls as well, which really impressive. It's just 4 shy of Quickly, who leads the second unit. But hopefully we see Hart in that starting lineup tomorrow. Yeah, and listen, it's not bad, folks. Like, I said it in one of our recent episodes, like, whenever you get concerned about the Knicks, they find a way to calm you down. And I'm not in no way celebrating anything. We're not, but like, for all the garbage, for all the shit talking and the nerves that I was giving off, the Knicks are the number 5 seed at the moment. That's where they finished last year. The Knicks are on pace for 47 wins at the moment. That's exactly how many they had last year. They're currently ahead of last year's rivals, Cleveland and Miami, in the standings. They're also ahead of the Nets and the precious Pacers, who the media loves to obsess over for some reason, who just gave up 150-something points. They're only, I think they're a game and a half back from Orlando at the 4 seed. So they just went 2-2 out west. It was a trip we were all very concerned about. They won 2 of their last 3 out west. 2 statement wins, you could say, against 2 solid teams, which helped calm my nerves, right? Brunson dropping 50 on Phoenix, and then against a tough Laker defense to go out and score 114. Yes, the Clippers loss was abysmal, and so was the Utah loss. That was the more maddening one because it was a game you had to take, which we've been doing a good job of this year until then. But the good news is that we've got more mediocrity coming up tomorrow. And the game's going to be taking place at MSG Light. So, yeah, it's the Knicks. They're chugging along. They're getting the job done. I think that's the best way you could describe them right now. Getting the job done. So ignore the media, folks. Ignore the garbage. Ignore Stephen A. Smith and his dramatics and his acting for clicks. Ignore TNT and their bitterness towards the Knicks. I actually woke up this morning to a Sports Illustrated article. The title of it, "The Knicks Aren't Title Contenders." It's just like interesting timing. It's like a, I'm trying to think of a good analogy. I had one this morning that I deleted from Facebook because I felt like it was too insensitive, but it was the best thing I could think of only because I've been watching Breaking Bad, and I said, like, it's like telling a cancer patient you're not out of the woods yet, and that cancer patient being in remission. It's like, okay, well, there's reason to be positive. That's exactly how the media treats the Knicks. It's like, well, we're trending up. Like, you're still talking about us like we're trending down. The Knicks are trending up. You don't go straight. You never do. Progression is not always linear. It's you're going to have ups and downs, and the Knicks are slowly rising. So, I've got my qualms, but overall, I'll continue to say there is more of a positive light shining on the Knicks than there is a shadow at the moment. So let's go beat this shitty, irrelevant, mutant Nets tomorrow night at MSG Light, and we'll take it from there. So with that said, let's wrap this thing up. As soon as we get back from our break, we'll get to our trivia, and that'll be that. Stay with us here on BD4, episode 595. Be right back.
If you have time in the day or maybe just prefer old-fashioned reading over listening, then you can always follow along and subscribe to BD4 Blog by going to BD4blog.com. We're not on there as often, but when we do post, it's just as entertaining, opinionated, and passionate as we are on this podcast. Thank you so much. And let's keep on with the show.
All right. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Archie Carbone. The Knicks win 114-109 against the Lakers last night in LA. They spoil Banner Night, Mickey Mouse Night. Cam Reddish does not get his revenge. Brunson drops 29, Randle 27. Ihart has a huge game on the boards. And the Knicks move to 15-11 at the number 5 seed. Let's wrap this episode up with our trivia. And that'll be that. Let's get right to it. All right. So for this episode, our question is, Jalen Brunson recently tied the NBA record for the most three-pointers made without a miss. Who was the last Knick to do so? Jalen Brunson recently tied the NBA record for the most three-pointers made without a miss. Who was the last Knick to do so? So let me know the answer wherever you can reach me. If you get the answer correct, I'll give you a shout out on the next episode. Folks, that's it. That is all we've got for this episode. I hope you enjoyed the show. With that said, I will see you in episode 596. Most likely that'll be Knicks Nets. We're going to recap Knicks Nets, but I'm saying most likely because we might have a bonus episode between now and then. On the Yankees, or maybe on the UFC fight, the UFC card that just took place this past weekend. So we'll see. If I have the time, we will do some stuff with that tomorrow. If not, we'll be talking Knicks Nets for 596. But as for 595, that's the show. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it once again, and I'll see you in 596. All right. Thank you. Later. This episode was brought to you by Anchor.
Hey there! If you stayed the entire way through, we thank you immensely for it. We hope you enjoyed this podcast and that you come back for the next episode real soon. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, download these episodes, and share them with your friends as well. BD4 is a 5-star podcast simply because of you, and we'd like to keep it that way. Have a wonderful day. Go Yankees! And go Knicks!
Studio 69 Productions is a podcast production agency created by Leo Rodriguez to allow content creators to market their podcast. It's an online platform that will market your podcast or any other project that you're working on. Get in touch with Leo Rodriguez from Studio 69 Productions. You can find Studio 69 Productions on Instagram at Studio 69NJ. Studio 69 Productions, where dreams are heard and born.